Today we have two wonderful guests, people that these young men that are on their road to a lifetime of success and happiness. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Pedro Castellon. I'm 18 years old, and I'm currently a graduate from Coral Gables Senior High.
Wait, hold on. Go ahead.
I am Leonardo Gisard. Also graduated with Pedro and this year in Coral Gables.
So, what's so special about what's about to happen with you gentlemen?
We are gonna go to Annapolis, Maryland, and serve, or start our active duty in United States Naval Academy as midshipman, and then on to officerhood.
That's a big deal, isn't it, Pedro?
Yes, it is.
So, how long have you wanted to do this?
Well,
I mean, you're 18, so it can't be that
Yeah.
long, but for you, it's a long time. So let's hear it.
yeah. So, for me, I've always wanted to serve. That's always been a mission of mine. Like, I've always seen military personnel as just heroes, basically. But if I'm being completely honest, I didn't hear about the Naval Academy until about October of last year when a naval recruiter came into my classroom and told me about it when I asked what the different ways of becoming an officer were. So right after that, I did my research and I did everything I could to get in my application as quickly as possible. So it was kind of last minute, but luckily it worked out for me. And in a week, I'm on my way. So
Leonardo. So in his case, it was that personal touch that made the difference. Because if he wouldn't have, if the recruiter wouldn't have gone there and explained it, it probably wouldn't have happened. Do I have that right?
yes.
So tell us about how and why you're doing this.
Well, I also have a personal touch. One of my sister's best friend from Gables. They're both graduates from Gables. His name is Dylan Carroll. He just graduated from the Naval Academy. He's going to be a submarine officer. He actually came to Gables about October of our junior year, so 2 years ago. And he made a presentation about the Naval Academy, and I remember him before he went to the Naval Academy, and then seeing him after. He was a completely different person, and that was captivating to me. I enjoyed seeing that growth in him.
So you're on this journey that starts next week in 6 days.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that it's kind of nerve-wracking because me personally, I've never been away from home. But it's like a new beginning. Like I get to see a whole different viewpoint that I've never had before, and it's exciting. That's the only way I could put it, really.
And Leonardo, for you, what's going on inside you?
There's a lot of emotions going around. Unlike Pedro, I've been away from home. I'm originally from Brazil, so I kind of understand like letting go of my family here, all my friends here in Miami, but I know it's going to be a good thing eventually because I'm going to make friends for life in Annapolis, and I'm going to have mentors for life, and it's exciting, but also a little sad. I'm leaving my friends and family behind here, but also plebe summer, the boot camp for Naval Academy is something else.
Going as young men and
Yeah.
come out on the other side.
Yeah.
So one of the things we recognize is it's hard to be at 2 weddings at the same time. It's if you want to get to first base, you got to get off home base in order to do that. And so life is like that. So as you go through this process of moving your head away from your family and moving on to some other things, that relationship moves. It's no longer this dependency or interdependency to you becoming successful young men. Tell us about when you look at that. What does that mean to you?
Well, for me personally, I've always had a strong relationship with my parents, and they've taken care of me, and I'm grateful for it. So going to the Naval Academy, this is more like I'm proving myself that what they did was not in vain, that all their efforts that was putting into me, that all that dependency that I've done for these 18 years of my life, it's finally led to something, and eventually I'll be able to take care of them as they grow old. So it's honestly something beautiful that I see coming up, and it makes me proud that to see all the progress that I made to even get here. So yeah.
Leonardo, what about you? I know you've traveled and you're from another place and you're here. Now you're going on to this additional space. What does that mean for you and the relationships that you currently have, and how do you feel about that?
Honestly, I'm very grateful for it. It's something that not everybody from Brazil or from my hometown can have. It's something completely different. And I'm just excited. I don't think there's many Brazilians at the Naval Academy. I'm excited to be like a trailblazer, I guess. But I'm just terribly excited. Like it's difficult to put into words. There's sort of kind of anxious to go there, but yeah,
So what do you anticipate doing in the next 6 months, starting next Thursday? What happens?
So everything begins with plebe summer. Like Leonardo explained, that's like the boot camp for midshipmen when we get there. So it's everything that you would expect. Like moment we get through the door, hair is completely shaved. They give us our uniforms, and we're assigned to our different platoons, or if you want to just visualize them as teams. So they'll put us through basically like kind of like a training. So
Kind of like a training.
it is a training, but
kind of like a training.
so yeah,
Yes.
they'll train us for the first 6 weeks there, and it's just teach us how to be midshipmen, and prepare us for our 4 years at the Naval Academy, and after that it's basically college with a spice of the military in it.
So what sort of courses are you going to wind up taking?
For the first semester, everybody takes the same course, so it's Calc 1, and then I think it's chemistry or physics first, and then there's stuff like cybersecurity, there's stuff like aerospace engineering that everybody has to take. But then eventually, by the end of your second year at the Naval Academy, you have to choose your major. It's a STEM school, it's more directed towards engineering, but there's other stuff like international relations, English, history. And yeah, it's just like Carlos said, it's kind of like college, but you wake up at 5:30 to go work out.
Kind of like college. We'll see if you're going to say that next Friday morning.
No, not
Kind
at all.
of like college.
Not at all.
Well, your folks and your friends must be awfully proud of you, right? And you do have another student who's also from Gables. Could you tell us his name?
Carlos
Cinch.
Carlos
Cinch.
Clinch.
And so we hope that he does well there. So when you tell people you're going to Annapolis, what's that like for you?
It's just a sense of pride. It's like if I said I was going to Harvard for me. So it's something that I like to say. Obviously, I don't like to be too boastful about it, if that makes sense. But it is something I did work very hard to get to, and it's something I like to say that I was able to do.
So Leonardo, for you, the pride must be like tremendous that you're able to do that. Obviously, everybody in your life has had some sort of influence on that.
Yeah.
If you did not choose to do this, what would you have done? We'll start with you.
Well, I would have gone NROTC, but I think you mean not go the officer route, like the military route.
Yeah.
I would have gone to UF or FSU or USF, something like that. Done something. I don't know. I never really thought about it. It's either USNA or NROTC or enlistment.
So one of the things this does, it puts you on this track. This is it. You're excited about doing it, and they've got it laid out. How many years has the school been teaching young men and leaders of the world?
Well, the
Naval.
Academy. The Naval Academy. I believe since 1859.
I guess you should know. Come next Friday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, you really should.
I know they're probably gonna smoke me if I don't. But
by the way, how do they call it? What's the name they use when you're in training?
Officially, our rank is midshipman. We take the oath of office of midshipman. But unofficially, as our first year, our freshman year, we are called plebes.
And what do you call your commanding officers? Who's anybody that's out there? What do you call them?
Sir, ma'am.
Right. So do you think that in 4 years from now, if you come back here and we're blessed to be here, you'll be saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, a whole lot more?
Most likely, yes.
100%, yeah.
And we see that. All right, people that are in the service, and we see that all the time. They don't have to tell me what they've done. All right, they've been they've got that training. Yeah. So what would you like to do your third year of school? You're finishing your third year. You're on your way to finishing your fourth year. What does that year and the year after that look like for you?
Well, at that point, it's basically where you get your assignments. So that's your end of your education there. So they assign you to your boats and also, well, I shouldn't say boats. They assign you to your ships, and they also give you your job there. So I personally would love to go into aviation. That's what I have in my mind right now. But you know, like everything else, it could change.
When you say aviation, what do you mean?
I want to fly fighter jets.
Okay, just make sure that's right up there. What about you?
Well, there's a lot of different service assignments you can go into that they can give you at the Naval Academy. So you can go Navy SEAL, or you can go supply officer in a submarine or a ship, or yeah. But ultimately, I think I want to be a diplomat, or work in an embassy in some way, shape, or form.
And it is important that you understand that that's what you want to do, even if it changes, right? That you have that and you have it written down, and that becomes part of your mantra. And if you watch the interview last night with these the parents of the two twins, the twins that both got drafted, and the parent was asked, when did you start training them to become basketball players? And he said, before they were born. And there is a lot to that. So you like to do what again?
Well, me, I'm kind of a geek, but you know, I've been with my dad. I haven't been flying, but me and my dad, like we've lived around Miami International Airport, so you know we've always seen the planes coming in, you know, touching down into the airport, and my dad, he always loved the airplane. So every time that we would see one coming around, he'd give me all the facts he could about it, what its name was, what it was probably carrying, and where it probably came, where it came from. So you know, it was kind of interesting for me as a kid. He kind of implemented that interest of aviation into me. So
would you like to talk to somebody that was a fighter pilot?
I would love to. I personally haven't yet.
I'm going to give you his name.
Okay.
How about you?
I'll look forward to that.
Well, you know, I've always been a swimmer. I was actually born on an island in Brazil, so it's only natural I go into Navy. I learned how to sail before I learned how to ride a bike. I play video games every weekend with my friends, just swimming, water polo at Gables. Play soccer sometimes.
Willard Shepard, who was on Channel 4 for 29 years, recently retired from there. He does a show every 2 weeks with us. He's a fighter pilot, former fighter pilot. You can look up Willard Shepard. He's also a lawyer. Willard Shepard. You can look him up, and when you call him, tell him you're on the show today, and that you're going to Annapolis, and this is what you want to wind up being. Could I just ask you what it's like? All right, Willard Shepard. All right, he's a gentleman's gentleman.
Will do.
So have you been talking with people that are doing or have done what you would like to do?
Yeah, well, I have, like I said, Midshipman Dylan Carroll. He's an ensign now, actually. He's an officer now. He just graduated. My sister's best friend. But then also, recently, we've both been put in a group chat for all the incoming plebes for the Naval Academy. So, you know, just trying to figure out what to do, what to prepare.
That must be pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Get to do
for
that.
sure.
See you next week.
Yeah.
So
and we got our company and platoon assignments yesterday, so now we know who we're going to be with, and I already found one guy that's also in their group chat that's I'm going to be with.
You really, both of you must be really excited, and your parents are like, right?
Mixed feelings on all of them. So.
And so you're pretty passionate about this, and very much it's very an emotional base for you, right?
It is.
And it's okay if the tears come down, by the way. It's very natural, right? You know, to do that. Yeah. And tell me about your family, if you would, Leonardo.
Well, like I said, we moved to Brazil in 2014, just me, my mom, my sister. And we came here on my mom's student visa because she's a psychologist in Brazil. She had a PhD. But coming here, you have to get a master's and revalidate everything. So that was about 2 years of her studying. And then we applied to a green card. We got it. And now, last year in August, we became citizens. So that's you need to be a citizen to go to service academy. So I needed to get that off my list to be where I am today.
So you guys are 18
Yes.
years old. So imagine you're 40 years old. I know it's hard to imagine it, but as Wilson will tell you, who's running the show, all right, it happens pretty quickly. What do you want to be doing?
In 40 years?
No, 22 years. You're 40.
22 years. So I'm going to be honest, I didn't give it much thought. At that time, I just wanted to have a stable living for me and my family. That's my ultimate goal. Make sure that I have a family that I could support and, you know, just have a decent living by then. I haven't thought it that
Well, it
far.
happened well before that. What about you?
Yeah, I have two ideas. So either I continue as a diplomat for either for the government or for the Navy. I'm not sure how that works, but that or retire, move back to my hometown in Brazil, just live how fishermen live, which is it's amazing, but also duty calls and.
Is there a possibility you might spend a long time with the Navy?
Yes, there is. That is something that I had to discuss with my parents because they wanted me home as soon as possible, even though this is something that I really wanted to do. But if I end up liking the Navy, I'm gonna stay there. I'm gonna keep it real with them. So it's a career that it could be very how can I say, very exciting, very very good for me to stay in. But it all depends. I'm going there for the experience mostly. So if I do end up liking it by the end of my years there, so it'll be 5 years of duty and 4 years of studying, so 9 in total. If I end up liking it, I'm served for more. So.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You're entitled in your life to make your own decisions, and how you're going to move on. As a wise man once told me, do whatever you want to do the best you can until you don't want to do it anymore, and then do something else.
I read the sign outside. Yeah.
Right? and you got a great start, which is way before Annapolis, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's go back to when you were a young teenager, 13 years old. Where were you, and how did you look forward, and what were you thinking about?
So at 13 years old,
that was 5 years ago, folks.
Yeah, it already feels like forever.
Not that long ago.
But I was in Ponce de Leon Middle School. Just a regular teenager there, and I was more like just thinking about what I could do with video games because that was one of my biggest pastimes. So animation, video games, that's all I wanted to do. That was all that was in my head. So I wanted to get more into like computer science and video game engineering and things like that, just so I could make my own. But eventually, as I started getting more into programming, I figured out I could do it. It was just extremely frustrating for me. Mm-hmm. So like it's not my top pick right now, but that's where my 13-year-old head was, and I'm honestly glad that I decided to go in a different direction because at this point I'm enjoying it a lot more. So
what about you, Leonardo?
Well, I was kind of in the same boat. Carefree, just playing video games with my friends, hanging out after school. I was still swimming. I started swimming like competitively back then, but other than that, I didn't really think about the future. It was just trying to be a teenager. Yeah.
So between 13 and 18, big change, gigantic, right? Yes. And then the next year is going to be big, mm-hmm. and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then one day, do they still throw the hat up in the air?
They do.
Yeah. They do.
Yes.
You got that in your head that's going to happen?
Yes.
Right. When does that occur? And how many years from today?
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
We're the class of 2027.
Already set.
Yeah, already set.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. All right. And again, tell us about your siblings.
Yes, so I have 2 siblings, Natalie Castellon and Daniel Castellon. If you guys are watching this, I love you guys. But so I'm the middle child. My brother is 4 years older than me, and my sister is about a year and so months younger than me. So they've always been in my life. My brother and we always used to horseplay. He was basically my best friend since the day I was born. And my sister, it's until recently that we got a little bit closer, that we started to kind of get on the same wavelength, and we understand each other a little bit more. And they've always been a part of my life, and I honestly I'm gonna miss them when I leave. But hopefully, I think that this will be like a kind of inspiration to them, that oh, my brother, he went to the Naval Academy. It's gonna be like a sense of pride for them. That's what I wish for. Yeah.
So what's it going to be like when you leave your phones in the box out front? Wait, tell us, Leonardo.
Well, I mean, I've watched the induction day video that they have a million times. Induction day is the first day of Fleet Summer when we go report in. I mean, it's going to be something. I don't know what I'm just going to have to keep a straight face and not, the first thing they tell you when you walk in is the first and last words out of your mouth is, "Sir and ma'am, do you understand?" And from then on, you have to, keep a straight face, say, "Sir, yes, sir, ma'am, yes, ma'am." And then
And they're waiting with bated breath for the new
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Yes.
And tell us about how many women are in the class.
I think about 30%, right?
Yeah, about.
That's pretty good, all things
Yeah.
considered.
Mhm.
I know there was, not in your lifetime, but in Wilson's and mine, there were women and people of color were pushed aside. So and so now it's finally catching up where it should be. But tell me what it's going to be like when they say, see your cell phone, you don't get to look at it for a while. How's that going to work for you?
For me, I've already been preparing for it. You know, like everybody that I usually talk to, I'm like, on this day, I'm going basically completely black. You guys are not going to be able to see me unless you guys want to send me a letter.
Yeah.
They just sent us our addresses that they're going to be, using
PO
for
box.
our PO box that we're going to be using to send letters and such. So I've already been sharing it with so many people.
Yeah.
I've been sending it to so many
Yeah.
people. And that they
Send me a letter. No more texts.
Exactly.
No more videos. Oh my God.
So they're just gonna be like, reading my terrible handwriting, maybe a couple drawings I said
So
on that.
Leonardo, tell me about that withdrawal from that type of communication.
I mean, it's completely different life. I'll tell you about it in detail after. But from what I understand, you have basically zero privacy. You're with your people that you're gonna have to be friends with, otherwise it's gonna be a horrible 6 weeks. But I don't think it's gonna be that bad because you're gonna be pretty busy the entire time.
One of the great things that's going to happen, you're going to be able to, that bandwidth is used in that method of communication is going to shift, and you're going to have better interpersonal relationships. And when we have dinner a couple times a week, we take the phone, put it in a jar at the front door. Usually people are good for about a half an hour. They say, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I see them sneaking their phone away. So that's going to be different for you. So you have lots of energy in doing that. So here we are again, the end of June. Your sign-up day is what, the 20 what?
The 29th.
The 29th, 2023. Is there any do you get like breaks in between or no? You're there?
Yeah, you get breaks. Thanksgiving, winter break, spring break, and then summer. And
the two biggest ones that I have seen at least has been the first month of summer that they give the plebes to just do whatever they want, and for Christmas break. So those are the two prime candidates that I'm using to come back to see my family. And actually during that time I met a detailer that's gonna be kind of like the sergeants at boot camp that we're gonna see in plebe summer. He actually came here. I completely forgot his name, but I saw him at the gym recently. It was kind of nice to talk to him. He gave me a little bit of insight on what to expect there, and I'm grateful for that.
So let's talk about the day you go in. You stay in there, and they're going to shave off all your hair.
Yeah.
What's that going to be like for you?
Well, I'm kind of sad.
Pedro's going, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what Leonardo has to say.
I used to have a buzz cut when I was very little, but ever since then, when COVID started, I decided to grow it out. I had my hair up to about my shoulders. I kind of looked like Tarzan. That was pretty funny. But yeah, no, it's just just a buzz cut. You have to do it.
Another thing to do.
It is what it is. That's your life now.
Years ago, there was a guy that all of a sudden he developed some sort of phobia for dentists, and the dentist says to him, when did this happen? Oh, recently. Are there other things that you have to do that you just don't want to do? Yes. Well, this is just another one of those things. And so once they shave your head and you're in, all right, then you're in. That's part of that. No facial hair?
No.
Right?
Shave every morning.
And what time do you get up in the mornings?
5:30. And
what time are the lights out?
I think 11. Right?
Around 11. You could be up, but that's
So
that's up to you.
This is boot camp, physical boot camp.
Plebe summer. Yeah.
Wow. You ready for that?
I mean, I'm never gonna be ready for it if I just keep thinking about it. So it's a leap of faith now. Just toss me in and see how I do.
Yeah. And you guys, I'm sure, are gonna do fine. And when you feel like giving up, you won't.
Yeah.
Because you know that the prize is the journey.
Worth it.
Right? It's the journey that's the prize. The end award or the finishing, that's just recognition of that work that goes in there. Are you allowed to scream when you're doing that stuff, when you're lifting the weights and running around?
Yes.
Tell me about the long runs. That's
Oh,
part of that.
that's what they told me when I asked mostly about working out
Wilson, are you listening to
Yeah.
this?
that miles upon miles upon miles. So number one thing that you got to work on when you're there is your cardio. Like your strength, it's important, but not as much as how long you could run. So that's honestly what I'm scared about. Anybody could push weights, but running for 3 miles straight, it's kind of hard. So
that's the biggest thing they tell you to work on is just your running and being able to keep going. Because I'm a swimmer, so I'm naturally not that good of a runner. But I've ever since swim season ended for high school, I've been running pretty consistently. And I was in my hometown about 2 weeks ago, just visiting one last time, and then a friend of mine just said like, "Hey, do you want to go to a half marathon?" Like out of nowhere, like I had 12 hours to prepare, pretty much. So of course I went. It was pretty fun. I was dead, my legs were screaming, but it was fun.
Terrific. You took the opportunity, took a chance, and so often it's getting to the starting line, which is the big problem. Then after that, they say 80% of it's showing up. So every morning you're going to show up. And during that first 6 weeks, are there any academics in that 6 weeks, or is it just physicals?
I mean, they teach you like the basics of what you're supposed to know at the academy. Doing your bed. They also give you a book reef points that like a bunch of terms that you're gonna have to memorize and
definitions, about 1,000 facts.
Yeah, and that's all gonna have to be in your head by the end of plebe summer. And
memorize everything.
So here's the book, know it all. You won't have any problems.
Yeah.
Basically,
I mean, they'll give you problems because that's boot camp, but
and they're waiting with bated breath. Let's do lives we can dramatically improve by getting them to do more than what you thought. So what is it you expect from yourself at the end of the 6 weeks?
So at the end of 6 weeks, honestly, what I expect is just to have more discipline. I expect to be more organized and, like at least a little bit more fit, because all that stuff that they're going to make me do, I hope that it makes me stronger and faster. But, it's all about, it's like 90% a mental game. Yeah. So it's just, toughen the mind while I'm there and see how I do after.
Well, discipline, having self-respect, or more of self-respect.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up. And what I'd like to do, which camera can Pedro look at?
No?
This way. I want you to, if you feel like thanking people for allowing you this opportunity for this journey that you're about to be on, look right in the camera. You can talk directly to them. If you want to name them, you can.
Okay.
Right there.
So I would want to give thanks to my entire family, my mom, my dad. You guys, you did everything you can to make sure that I just succeeded academically, made sure that I had a roof over my head, make sure that I was fed. And to my brother and my sister, you guys were always cheering me on. Anything that I had to do regarding the Naval Academy or regarding anything in my life, you guys were always there to cheer me on, and I'm extremely thankful for it. And to all my friends, specifically Jordan, Eduardo, and Joseph, like you guys really did motivate me. I'm glad that I was able to have an impact of your life. And, just thank you guys for everything. And Jordan, when I come back, I'm going to make sure I beat you. Okay.
All right. You're on, Leonardo. Same camera, Wilson? Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Can I say some things in Portuguese?
Absolutely.
Obrigado, mãe. Eu não poderia estar aqui hoje se não fosse por ti. Obrigado, minha irmã, Júlia. Nessas últimas 2 semanas a gente ficou bem amigo. Obrigado, família Gisard, família Vieira da Rosa. Eu amo vocês, já estou com saudade. Eu sei que eu fui embora do Brasil faz, sei lá, 5 dias. Eu já estou com muita saudade de vocês, amo vocês. And everyone in Coral Gables Senior High, thank you for all my teachers, all my counselors, Miss Van Wyck. Thank you guys. I couldn't have done it without you guys. All my friends, I'll see you guys sometime in like a year. I don't know.
Again, Pedro, thank you for joining Leonardo.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank you so
both
much.
of you. Make us all proud. Folks, thanks for joining us, and have a great day.